What is a prepper? This is something I want to talk about today, and hopefully this is something you can share with your family and friends to help them better understand what prepping is all about. In my opinion, the term prepper is one of the most misconstrued terms out there. People often associate it with the most fringe elements of the community, envisioning that they're all people like the character Burt Gummer from the movie Tremors. The reality is, if you look closer and go back just a few generations in history, prepper is someone who just lives a lifestyle closer to what most people's parents or grandparents would have lived. The modern prepper is a person who is attuned with the ways of self-reliance that used to be common practice in the past, and they understand there's merit in the ability to sustain yourself in life and throughout any disaster, no matter how big or small. After all, with few exceptions in the last 100 years or so, most of recorded history has shown that when major disaster strikes, you can't rely on the outside world to be there to help you out in a timely manner. The best way to survive is being able to create a system where you can rely on yourself and each other within your local community. Just putting a small amount of effort into prepping and setting up that community equips you to face things together, and it's greatly going to help alleviate stress and the accompanying panic that can set in. A prepper understands that relying on help from the outside world coming in time isn't a solution you can afford. A prepper understands the lack of preparedness can be a major failure point and doesn't want to see that cost them and their loved ones their lives. Another reality the modern prepper understands is that we have seen unprecedented long run of good times over the last several decades. As history has shown us time and time again, these good times tend to create weak men, and in turn those weak men create hard times. Now, while the cycle does eventually go full circle with some of the strongest and brightest in history being born into those hard times and leading us back from it, a prepper understands how dangerous those weak times are and how much of an asset it is to have the ability to weather those hard times and how much it can help you. You can find too many tragic stories covering the pages in history books illustrating what happens to those who were unprepared for those hard times, and it's a fate no one would want. But boiling down to it, the simplest trait you can find in every prepper is that they have all come to terms with the fact that no matter how hard you try, you're never going to be able to avoid every disaster situation. You will eventually find yourself dealing with the situation, and you want to be prepared for it. It's a matter of when, not a matter of if. Because that's understood, it's easier to sleep at night knowing that you have prepared yourself and you have the capability of dealing with what life throws at you, and instead of just hiding your head in the sand and hoping for the best, you can tackle that task when it comes to you. I hope this is something you found informative and gives you some insight to the viewpoints I'm coming from and making videos for this channel. Please drop any comments or questions down below, and if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. Most of all though, stay safe and stay prepared.